What's a controversial music opinion that you have? Just because an artist died from a particular drug doesn't mean their music is good to listen to while doing that drug. An artist dies, their music blows up. If Adele had had a good boyfriend, she'd be working in Tesco. Amazing singer. But man, the music itself is boring. Most country music is emo music in disguise. Emo for rednecks. I once heard music was overall more enjoyable when ugly people were allowed to make it, and I think I agree. Mainstream music is too concerned with Tinder and not enough concerned with signing people with great talent. Obligatory. I'm not saying the music we have is talentless. I'm only saying by today's standards many of our past great artists might not even be considered. Edit. Yikes, y'all are really burning Ed Sheeran LMAO. I think this all the time of Bob Dylan. All the Beatles were born today. They won't make it in the industry. I love Cohen's line in Chelsea Hotel. We are ugly, but we have the music nowadays. It's just sexy people who have their songs written for them by one of those two guys who write everything. Weird Al deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This shouldn't be a controversial opinion. Many music-based awards, especially recently with modern rap and pop, should go to the beat makers rather than the singers. Many of these songs are great because of the beat, not the lyrics. And there are not too many songs these days that I appreciate the lyrics alone. And a lot of time will listen to an instrumental if I can find it. Edit. Never gotten an award or over 100 upvotes ever. So thanks everyone. Hope 2022 brings you all a lot of happiness. 100%. Most people would enjoy classical music if they let themselves. I hate how all classical music is relaxing. Sure, it can be relaxing, but there are so many exciting. Grammy Awards are circle jerks. Almost all areas of entertainment have circle jerk awards. The music I listened to as a teenager, early 20s, the stuff I am most nostalgic for, is mostly crap, and I am embarrassed by most of my CD collection from that time. I went down a teenage nostalgia hole on Spotify last night and I was laughing at how bad some of it was. Hormones are a hell of a drug if it made me think that shoot was deep. Truly bad music is pretty rare. Most people confuse music they don't like or understand with bad music. Most music, even if it's basic in terms of writing or production, has its place, its reason for existence. People need to chill the frick out and stop getting so angry and dismissive about certain music genres. Thank you. Beyonce is a very average artist. This is not controversial on Reddit. Complex is not necessarily better. Nevada is simple ASF and their songs are absolutely amazing. I like the Alien and Farm version of Smooth Criminal better than MG's version. I get raked over the coals for this opinion every time I express it, but there it is. I'm not saying it's objectively better. I'm saying that I prefer it. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean it is bad. I wish other people would have this mindset. Ooh, musician here. I've got one. So, standard procedure these days is to release music regularly, like every few weeks, or once a month. Then when there are enough songs, release an album. Personally, I hate buying an album, only to discover I've already heard most of it. Even if I like the songs, it generally doesn't feel new enough to justify buying it. I'd rather hear 12 new songs at the same time. Pop punk is an oxymoron. Alternative. Rappers get far too much credit for the music their producers made for them. I would have hated Beyonce less if her fans were not as toxic. I don't have the attention span to listen to new Taylor Swift songs. It's okay to not like the Beatles. I unironically like Dave Matthews Band. Not to sound too much like Andy Bernard, Nickelback and Creed aren't that bad. Nickelback is the Guy Fieri of the music world. It's fun and easy to shoot on their brand. I hate Crazy Train. Everyone outplayed the damn beginning and don't realize the kick-ass solo in the middle of the song. Modern country is great if you're a passenger on a long road trip and you want to turn your brain off for a while. It's got no variation, nothing that'll leap out at you, nothing to make you think. It's a sad husk of what country used to be. I'm not praising it, but it's got a good use. Emo music is not bad. Queen is alright, but people treat them like the second coming. Edit. That being said, I can't help but sing along to Bohemian Rhapsody and clap to We Will Rock You in spite of myself. What I'm talking about though is if I'm riding in the car and Queen comes on. Almost every time other people in the car are like, ZOMG turn ITUUUPP, and I'm just going, really? That good? Huh. Right, double quotation mark. Metalheads are dipshoots. There are good songs in any genre. Just because they're gatekeeping idiots that thinks they're hardcore doesn't mean that, for instance, Adele isn't good or that Post Malone is bad. Stop. Source. I'm a metalhead. Metal evolved as a community of outsiders, but now has turned into a bunch of elitists sniffing their own farts. If it isn't strictly metal, then it's verboten and heresy. I just don't get Billie Eilish. She seems like a nice woman and has a distinctive look and style. At least she did. And maybe she is a great songwriter. I just cannot tell on the last part, since she just sounds like someone mumbling into the microphone. She's just the current version of a manufactured star. Much all of her family are industry insiders. I actually liked Bieber's As Long As You Love Me. Video game music should be held to the same respect as any other form of music. The fact that it comes from a video game doesn't change its value. Vaporwave is new wave, bro. Drake isn't a good rapper. Nickelback is widely hated only because the majority of their most famous songs are their worst, and radio stations don't like heavy music, so they don't play Nickelback's best songs. Here come the downvotes. Disturbed ruined one of my favorite songs with their cover of The Sound of Silence. It was the worst version I've ever listened to. I say this as a longtime fan of their music. Africa by Toto is one of the most annoying songs ever written. I mean, up there with Friday and Cotton Eye Joe. Hold the Line is 1000x better than Africa. I have no clue why people like it. Nickelback isn't that bad. Adele is criminally overrated. I still like Limp Bizkit. I remember seeing them at Sonosphere Festival and hearing loads of people talk shit about them. Yet when they hit the stage, somehow the better part of 80,000 people still knew all the words to their songs. Funny that. ABBA is criminally underrated. Underrated how? Fear in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The pandemic was the best thing to happen to music in a long time. So much good music has come about this year due to all the artists being caught in lockdown. Hardcore and hardstyle are some of the best genres to really let yourself loose. Madonna made below average music. She's massively overrated. I used to feel the same way about a lot of artists that were before my time. The more you learn about them and why what they did was so groundbreaking. People should write their own shit. Stop using ghostwriters. Lyrics are part of your musical skill too. That Olivia Rodrigo isn't a good musician. I got a lot of death stares after that one. The minor scale is the best scale for music composition in my opinion. Especially if you also borrow from similar scales like harmonic minor, Dorian and Phrygian. Ed Sheeran sucks. Slowing down the song doesn't make it sound good. Country music isn't liked all the time, but there are songs that are just perfection. Dixie Chicks Landslide. Listen to the original version of that song by Stevie Nicks. I like the Chicks version too. Kanye is awful. Black metal has a lot of controversial history and a gatekeeping fan base, but I think it is genuinely one of the most beautiful music genres out there. Always avoided it in the past because of how controversial it was, but really, most black metal songs I have listened to are about worshipping nature, dealing with depression and contemplating our place in the universe. Very spiritual and introspective, and the music is also pretty experimental and ethereal. I really don't like Michael Jackson. Average music. Terrible person, probably caused by a lack of childhood though. Winning a Grammy is more embarrassing than laudatory. The Beatles were terrible and overhyped. Power Ridge is the best album AC/DC ever recorded. Modern music is good. People need to stop shooting in pop music and treating it like it's not credible music art. Plenty of pop artists write their own music and play instruments. And even if they don't, that isn't a reason to discredit anyone. I don't get the appeal of drill. I mean, I'm open for the explainer, but it genuinely sounds like kids from London mumble rapping about stabbing some other kids. Maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm just too far north to get it. Also, this might get me fired into the sun round here. But aside from drill and mainstream rap on Radio 1, the UK hip hop scene has some utterly freaking amazing talents. Go have a listen to Lee Scott, Dirty Dyke, Jam Baxter, to name a few. There's so much that gets ignored for no real reason. Hyperpop is currently the most interesting genre of music. Yoko Ono is very talented lyrically, but she's held back by her inability to sing. Bohemian Rhapsody is an overplayed, non-coherent song. It's 5-6 songs rolled into one that doesn't flow at all together. That's not to say Queen was bad, but for me, it's their weakest song. By today's standards, the Beatles were shoot. New country are just failed rock bands. Disco needs to make a comeback. Regina Spektor's cover of While My Guitar Gently Weeps is far superior to the original. Aerosmith's cover of Come Together is just Steven Tyler trying way too hard. Tool's best album as a whole is Undertow. Metallica is overrated. They are mediocre at best. Also Rush is awful. Jay-Z and his wife are massively overrated, as is Adele. If you like everything but rap and country, you're probably just a classist snob who doesn't like things associated with poor people. Queen's music is boring. I think the breakup of the Beatles was a good thing. I am a huge Beatles fan myself, and whilst I especially love the later albums, people often forget that by 1970 they were already overshadowed by newer acts such as Led Zeppelin and had started to lose their edge. There are plenty of bands that should have broken up a long time ago, i.e. the Rolling Stones, Deep Purple, Metallica, U2, Green Day, and there is always the possibility that the Beatles could have gone the same way. You don't like mainstream music because you're a contrarian who thinks you're too sophisticated to enjoy the same music all those other plebeians enjoy. Nirvana is mediocre and Kurt Cobain was an absolutely horrible singer.